Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Podcast series going throughout the summer. We started this back in February. It's hard to believe. It seems like it was forever ago, but it really wasn't. But we're about halfway. I think we're 92 days from the Expo. When you watch this, it may be a lot less. So all good. But thank you, everybody, for joining in, checking out all of the sponsors and exhibitors that we'll be having here at the Fantasy Football Expo. And one of them, another rookie, we got on board tonight, Thomas Pascariello from the League Winners. Tom, welcome to the show. I see you have your JETS, Jets. Love that. So welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. And tell us a little about you, where you're from, why you got the Jets on.
Thanks for having me, Bob. I really appreciate the promotion. I come out of New York, Jets fan. Obviously I moved around a bit from Texas and all that stuff. Just kind of like a big football fan. I love fantasy football. I actually started in 2013, not too long ago. Actually, I know there's a lot of people with a lot more time than me, but started with a group of guys we played basketball with, and we started a league going. I actually won my first league in my first year, so off to a nice start. Didn't get so much better after that, but that's why you play the game, right?
Exactly. And it's so funny. Every time somebody talks about their first year, they win. I mean, I kid you not, if you went back and watched all these shows that we've done this year, probably even some last year, but I know this year, everybody's like, oh yeah, I first started playing, like you said, 2013, got brought into it, and I won the first year. And I'm like, wow, that's just amazing. Of course, then you have to be hooked, right? It's like putting your first, dollar into a slot machine and you hit $50,000, right? You're going to gamble the rest of your life at that point because, hey, this is an easy thing. But congratulations to you, and you're winning the first year. And like you said, it kind of goes downhill from there, but it'll come uphill, and you're up and down after that. And that's why it's so much fun. So yeah, you talked about 2013. You got involved. When did that, maybe talk about what the League Winners, your brand is all about, but talk about how, when and how that transition from fantasy football player to now having a brand or a product like the League Winners wrapped around it. So talk about that, expound on both what the League Winners is, but more importantly, tell the story about how it came about.
Sure. So I played football throughout my life, high school, college as well. So I've always been a big fan of the game. I always loved my Jets. I started actually writing for free for Gangrene Nation. It's a big blog on SB Nation and Vox Media. Started writing for them for free, covering a lot of guys. And a lot of the readers, they messaged John Butchko, who is the site owner there, and actually wanted me to write for the site full time from like a fan. From the fans, and John, bless him, he gave me the opportunity. So I've kind of got to work there now for about 8 years. So I started streamlining that into another Jets gig with Jets X Factor, which is a credentialed media site. Robbie Sabo, big shout out to him. He also gave me a great chance. So I love that. So I used that. And I loved playing fantasy football. So I didn't want to just write about the Jets. I wanted to, get the fantasy thing on, but it was really hard for me to find opportunities for a guy who, for most people, they didn't see anything from me in that field before. So I decided to create the League Winners in January 2021 to give people, who've never had the experience or maybe get turned down, and give them a chance to, to write, give an opportunity to get into the industry, get into the community, because I feel like the fantasy football community is really one of the best communities to have out there for a subsection of sports. And that's kind of ballooned ever since then. A lot of people have come and gone. Thankfully, there's something like 55% of my staff has gone on to like full-time gigs in the industry, which I love to see. It's the League Winners to me has always been a jumping off point to help people get to where they want to be and see their goals. So I'm really proud to see where we've come in. And of course, heading to the Expo for the first time, I'm really excited to see what we're able to do there.
So basically, if somebody's listening to this right now and they've had this gnawing in the back, of wanting to write, wanting to get into the fantasy community, not sure where to go, not sure how to get started, the League Winners is the spot to go to, right? They can reach out to you now, correct? They don't have to wait for the expo, correct?
Oh, correct. Yeah. I personally love people who, I love green people, so to speak, who never really had a chance. It
Right.
gives me a chance to teach them. It allows me to be better as a teacher, as a student as well, because I like to see everybody's stance and point of view on things. So it's really a great thing. And anybody who is interested, yeah, feel free to hit me up, whether you have zero experience and you just love the game, or if you have, a litany of experience.
Love it. Love it. So, um, email you, hit you up on Twitter. Best way to contact. Is there a website, obviously, that the
Oh, yeah.
league winners that they can contact you and kind of read what's going on there?
Yeah, of course. It's at theleaguewinners.com, spelled just like how it sound. You can also hit me up on email. It's at theleaguewinners, gmail.com, or you can hit me up at my Twitter, which is the at @ThomasCP_NFL, or you can contact at FF League Winners. If anybody has any interest in that. And so we cover a lot of fantasy stuff, but we also do a lot of football and college football stuff as well. We got to go to the Senior Bowl, so that was a really cool
Oh,
experience.
awesome. Congrats.
And we got to go, and we have some credentials for college sports too. So we're kind of building our way into the community.
And that's certainly something that's been really growing as of late. This year on Sports Betting Saturday, we're going to have a panel that's talking about college football, college fantasy, college betting, because that's, I feel like betting for college has been around longer than betting for NFL, maybe the same. But, I remember as a kid, my dad would bring home, the parlays, from work. And it was mostly, it was 3/4 of a page of college football and then this much NFL games. And, it was just like, yeah, I remember that as a kid, my dad's like, here, make picks. I'm 10 years old. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh,
But
my
I was
dad
a
did
kid
the
watching
same thing.
football every Sunday. So my dad thought I was smart. I'm like, maybe not then. I didn't have the internet. Watching two channels on there's not even cable, regular TV, right? But no, good stuff. I mean, I see you guys have a 2024 NFL draft prospect guide on the League Winners. That looks pretty cool. I assuming that took a lot of work for you guys to put together, but yeah, that looks awesome. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's 155 prospects, offense and defensive prospects. I want to give a big shout out to Brandon Hay at HeyB3 on Twitter. He did a lot of the offensive stuff while I did all the defensive stuff for video analysis and things like that. And also a big shout out to everybody else at the League Winners for creating the templates, adding in the advanced analytics, the RAS scores. We have player comparisons as well as team fits on there. So we really try to make it, easy because it's completely free as well, the prospect guide. So if you go on the website, you'll see it on there, have it sorted by position as well. So if anybody's interested, yeah, it's completely free. It took a long time, man. We started kicking it off. I want to say as soon as I got back from the Senior Bowl, we started the write-up portions, and we just hit the buzzer about a week and a half before the draft.
Love it. A good friend of mine, Prue Patel, was writing for us a little bit last year. I see he's on your site. Know him. I feel like I've met Brandon Hay. Has Brandon Hay been to the Expo?
He has, yeah. He's actually the one who introduced me to the Expo. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that leads into that question. I'll just look at other people, see if I know anybody else. Nobody else jumps out at me. Aaron St. Dennis, though, that sounds familiar. But anyway, yeah, so talk about that. Talk about you're coming to the Expo this year. You guys got your own booth. We'll certainly get you on some of the panels, definitely the college stuff, and get you involved with, whatever seems to fit best. I see some best ball and DFS stuff on the site as well. Always looking for those kind of folks. But talk about who talked to you who brought up this whole idea of the Expo. You said Brandon, but anybody else that you've heard from, talked to, saw on Twitter that maybe really grabbed that interest in you to come to this event this year?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, Brandon was really trying to get me to go, and I just couldn't I had other commitments.
Sure.
But I got the real FOMO, of Yeah, just seeing everybody's posts, it's a great event. Just
Thank you.
networking and being able to just providing that opportunity for people to just to get together, and have a conversation. I think that's really important, and it really allows relationships to grow. So that's an incredible job on your end. I really respect the stuff that you do there. But yeah, Brandon's been hyping it up for me for a while. He's loved the events. He's always told me about, oh, you got to go for this, for the poker, for the tables, for everything, like just the
Yeah.
whole thing, the karaoke after, just a great time.
Amazing
And
that you didn't say anything about the fantasy stuff. You talked about the poker, the karaoke, talked about all the other fun stuff. But no, thank you. I appreciate it.
and he said you guys provide some really interesting panels, and live drafts, I believe, as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have the draft night out guys do the live drafts on Saturday afternoon.
Is that with IBT?
Yes, IBT, Seth Wolcock.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, good. I mean, if you're bored coming out of that weekend at any point, call me because I want to know why. Because there should be no reason to be.
Yeah,
especially
that's
with us adding the Sunday or the sports betting Saturday this year as well.
That's the kind of stuff that like really drew me in to the event itself. It's really interesting because I look back and saw some of the panels and some of the people that are on there. It's really good people, experts in their field. So it's something really top notch. I just wanted to be a part of that. And with the way that I want the league winners to grow, what better opportunity is there than to grab a booth there and be able to promote myself and my group and my guys in Growls. We have the booth set up there. We're gonna have the logo. We'll give away some merchandise, some free T-shirts of the league winners. We also will have a raffle of a Jordan Addison custom jersey, nice. Jacoby Myers custom signed jerseys, and I might have another one up my sleeve. I'm just not sure which one I want to do.
Not sure. I love it. So everybody, make sure you get to their booth. So let me double check. See, what booth number are you? You are booth.
Is it 28 or 30?
Sounds right. But why?
It's like between 28 and 35. I know.
Actually, 30.
30. Okay.
No, 29. My apologies. 29. So booth 29. So yeah, everybody come check that out. It'll be a booth 29. Of course, Tom will be there all weekend with his crew hanging out. Brandon, everybody will be there. Definitely come and check Tom out. Talk to him. Lots of great people, like you said, will be there. And that's what's awesome about this whole, like you said, this whole community. The great thing is that there's going to be the superstars of Marcus Graham, Bob Harris, Howard Bender, Jeff Bradcliffe, and then there's us, and we're all there together. We're all the same ego, If I always tell people, you could walk around if you don't know anybody there, and you could go up and talk to a Marcus Grant or you or me or anybody, and you'd never know who the superstar was or who the rookie was. And that's what's great, and that's what's perfect about the event is that doesn't exist there. There's no trolls. There's no garbage being thrown at people for, oh, that's a terrible pick. Hey, we all have our ideas. We all have our thoughts. And that's what's great. We can share them and we can go, yeah, okay. I see that. Okay. So that's what's awesome. And like you said, and then all the other fun stuff thrown in just makes it that much better. So thank you, Thomas, for being a part of this. Do you have any questions for me? I mean, you kind of discussed, what you're going to do at the booth now. Do you have any questions for me as the newbie coming in? That maybe you've been meaning to ask and kind of forgot. It just kind of went, oh yeah.
Yeah. So for like a first time goer, what would you categorize as like the top 3 must attend events?
All of them.
The Expo.
All of them. Obviously every person's different. Some people love, the cornhole, and some people love just, the networking at the parties. They think the parties are the highlight because it's relaxed, it's calming, it's just for fun. You got some drinks flowing and people talking and shaking hands and kissing babies and hugging and, all that kind of great stuff. Certainly to me, that's my 2 favorite of the parties because it is just a great time to see everybody just interact. But on the other hand, I love the panels. I love the actual event. I call them the Expos themselves. The Sports Betting Saturday is new this year, but the Fantasy Football Sunday, just standing there and listening to these people who are just so much smarter than me in my mind, that I'm learning. But on the other hand, I appreciate that somebody's going to listen to me about my consistency knowledge, and how important it is in fantasy football. And so that's what's great, is that we all have our thoughts and our goals. You have a different goal. You have a goal to help people, and that's great. Fantasy Cares, Scott Fish and the guys are there to help. So that's what's everybody has something, and I think that's what makes this a perfect scenario for all. And really glad to have a newbie and somebody like you who is just as enthusiastic and just as generous in sharing your knowledge and your background of how you got there and how you can help others. So hats off to you, and looking forward to meeting you in person and checking out and having a drink together for sure. So any other questions before I go?
Yeah, actually, I did just have one more. I know it's a lot of work to put in with the event planning and stuff. Is that like a year-round thing that you do, or is it do you wait to give yourself a time off?
So I have a full-time job. I'm an accountant by day, so that's why I have to do all my interviews at night. But once the event ends, probably a month or two I'll take of just kind of decompressing. Right. But then in October, I'm getting with my web guy, and we're getting the colors changed on the site, and we're talking about what do we want to do next year, and in that process I'm also reaching out to many people. Hey, this year I think I'm going to do a full-blown actual survey for everybody. What'd you think? What'd you like? What you didn't like? What could you improve? And trust me, people usually share that anyway, and certainly not out of disrespect. I've had people say, "Hey, Bob, why don't you move this to Vegas? Why don't you move this to a bigger city? Why is it in Canton?" First off, I live here. That's why. Two, we have the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's the second. Right. But I take that, with the same enthusiasm as if you just said, "Hey, Bob, why don't we have, sweatshirts to sell," or, whatever their question may be. I take them all to heart, and I will usually answer them and say, well, here's why, and here's what, we're doing. Here's what we've thought about this. We went that direction, didn't work. We went back, I take, I certainly take everything to heart, and in my mind, make sure I know why I want to, if somebody asks that question, what the answer would be, and that I've done research, I've looked into whatever that scenario has been, and to make those changes. The Sports Betting Saturday came because a lot of people who had, most people in the past would come in and tour the Hall of Fame on Saturday afternoon because that was the open time to do it. And the King's Classic drafts are being going on in the Hall of Fame. Problem is after 2 years, there's really nothing new at the Hall of Fame to see. Right. And so people were bored, and I didn't know that. And so people are like, yeah, we didn't have anything to do Saturday afternoon. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't have anything to do? Why don't you go to the hall? I've been there 2 years in a row. I didn't even go. And I'm like, okay. So that's when I started to say, well, and then I had on the other side somebody going, sports betting is really getting big. We don't have very many panels for that on Sunday. And I said, we could kill two birds with one stone. Let's put that on Saturday, and now let's spread this out and make this into more information on 2 different days, one focusing on sports betting, one focusing on fantasy football. So, again, I appreciate that question, and I think that's, and I never stop thinking. It's just a question of turning my brain off, which doesn't happen very often. But no, thank you for that. That was a great question, and it's kind of year round. And if I'm not doing that, I'm writing my book, my consistency guide. So it's a hobby that's gotten a little bit out of control, but I'm 4 years away from retiring. So I'm hoping by then I'll have this all ready.
Right.
Ready to go.
I love that.
Once again, Thomas, thank you for being a part of this. Tell everybody again where they can find you and the league winners, how they can contact you if somebody wants to be a writer and start trying out, working with you to, get more well-versed in this fantasy world, and we'll take it out from there.
Yeah, sure. You can go to the website at theleaguewinners.com. You can follow them on Twitter at FF League Winners. If you'd like to write for us, you can always contact FF League Winners or myself at ThomasCP_NFL. I'm open to anybody and everybody who's interested.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Thomas. Of course, everybody haven't got your tickets yet for the Fantasy Football Expo. Go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Get your tickets. Prices go up June 1st. It'll be up $10 more. So save some money. Get them now. So for Thomas Pascariello, I'm Bob Lung for the Fantasy Football Expo. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.